Why U.S. visa interviews are so hard for Iranians. For millions of people around the world, getting a U.S. visa is a straightforward process. You fill out a form, pay a fee, attend an interview, and if everything checks out, you're approved. But for Iranians, the experience is completely different. The U.S. visa interview is not just a conversation. It's a long, stressful, unpredictable journey, filled with extra steps, extra checks, and extra waiting. Many Iranians describe it as one of the most difficult bureaucratic processes they've ever faced. So why is it so hard? In this guide, we'll break it down simply, clearly, and without politics, just the real-world reasons that affect everyday people. For any Iranian citizen hoping to visit, study, or work in the United States, the journey begins with a significant and often overlooked obstacle. Let's start with the most fundamental problem: there is no U.S. embassy or consulate within Iran's borders. Diplomatic relations were severed decades ago, and as a result, the standard process of applying for a visa is immediately complicated. This reality forces applicants to become international travelers before they even have a chance to apply for their U.S. visa. They must choose a third country, typically a neighboring one like Turkey, Armenia, the United Arab Emirates, or Qatar, to schedule and attend their mandatory in-person interview. This isn't just a minor inconvenience, it's the first major hurdle in a long and arduous process, creating several distinct challenges. First, the financial burden. Applicants must cover all travel costs: international flights, hotel accommodations for several days, local transportation, and food. These expenses can easily run into thousands of dollars, and for many families, this cost alone is a prohibitive barrier, ending their American dream before it can even be considered. Second, there's limited appointment availability. The U.S. embassies in these nearby countries are consistently overloaded with a high volume of Iranian applicants. This intense demand means that securing an interview slot can take many months, sometimes even a year, injecting a great deal of uncertainty and delay into any plans. And third, a particularly ironic complication: some Iranians need a visa just to enter the country where the U.S. embassy is located. Yes, you heard that correctly. Iranians sometimes need to successfully apply for and obtain a visa simply for the privilege of attending their U.S. visa interview. Each of these issues creates a chain reaction of logistical and financial complications, building a wall of bureaucracy before the official U.S. application process even begins. Fourth, extra security checks for Iranian applicants. For many Iranian applicants, this is the single biggest reason the visa process feels so difficult and opaque. After a seemingly successful interview, you might be told your case requires further processing. This is where the real waiting begins. Iranians often face additional security screenings known as administrative processing, or AP. It's crucial to understand that this is not a punishment, and it's not personal. It's a standardized security protocol triggered by specific criteria, involving multiple U.S. government agencies beyond just the Department of State. So, what exactly is administrative processing? Think of it as a much deeper background check that can take weeks, months, or even longer. While it's common for applicants from certain countries, including Iran, the specifics of the review are confidential. It could involve verifying your employment history, your field of study, especially if it's in a sensitive scientific or technical field, or cross-referencing your information against various national security databases. Why does it happen so frequently for Iranians? The primary reason is that the U.S. government requires extra verification for applicants from countries with which it has limited diplomatic cooperation. Without an embassy in Iran, it's more challenging for U.S. officials to independently verify documents and access certain records, necessitating these additional checks. How long does it take? This is the most difficult question to answer because there is no fixed timeline. Some cases clear in just 2 weeks, others take 6 months. Some, unfortunately, take over a year. The duration depends entirely on the specifics of your individual case and the checks required. This profound uncertainty is one of the most stressful parts of the entire process. The lack of a clear endpoint can make it feel like your life is on hold, making it incredibly difficult to plan your future, whether it's for school, work, or reuniting with family. The DS-160 form is much harder for Iranians. Every U.S. visa applicant, regardless of their nationality, must complete the online DS-160 form. It's a standard part of the process. However, for Iranian citizens, the form is significantly more detailed and complex. This is because they are subject to a higher level of scrutiny, requiring them to provide a vast amount of personal information that goes far beyond what is asked of most other applicants. Let's break down the key differences. First, travel history. Iranians must list every single country they have visited in the last 10 years, along with the exact dates and purpose of each trip. For those who frequently travel for business, education, or tourism to nearby countries like Turkey or the UAE, this becomes an exhaustive data entry task. Forgetting even a short trip can lead to complications. Next, social media. Applicants must disclose all social media accounts they have used in the past 5 years. This isn't just limited to major platforms like Instagram, Telegram, and Facebook. It includes any online forum or application where they have a public profile, requiring them to provide their specific usernames for each one. Then there's education and employment history. The form demands a complete record, often going back many years. This includes providing names of supervisors, full addresses of companies, and detailed job descriptions. The U.S. government uses this to build a comprehensive picture of the applicant's background and professional network. Most importantly, certain fields of study or work trigger automatic extra checks. For example, engineering, computer science, chemistry, aviation, and any nuclear-related fields. These areas fall under the U.S. Technology Alert List, or TAL, a screening mechanism designed to prevent the transfer of sensitive technologies. For many Iranians, especially students and researchers in STEM fields, their background almost guarantees their case will be flagged for additional administrative processing. This scrutiny is a primary reason for the significant delays many applicants face. High refusal rates create fear and pressure. Iranians know the statistics. U.S. visa refusal rates for Iranian applicants are higher than average. This creates a psychological burden. Applicants feel they must be perfect. Every detail matters. Every document matters. Every answer matters. The interview feels like a test. Even confident applicants often feel nervous, which can affect how they communicate. Fear of rejection makes the process emotionally heavy. For many Iranians, visiting the U.S. means seeing family, attending a wedding, starting a university program, reuniting with loved ones. The stakes are high, and that pressure makes the interview feel even harder. Number 5. Limited communication between the U.S. and Iran. Because the U.S. and Iran do not have direct diplomatic relations, the U.S. cannot easily verify criminal records, identity documents, employment history, educational credentials. This means the embassy must rely on interviews, supporting documents, background checks, third-party verification. This naturally increases the level of scrutiny. Sixth, Iranian students face extra challenges. Iranian students are one of the largest groups applying for U.S. visas, but they face unique obstacles. Fields of study matter. Students in STEM fields, especially engineering, physics, chemistry, and computer science, are more likely to face administrative processing. Funding must be proven clearly. The U.S. wants to ensure students can afford tuition and living expenses. Timing is critical. If administrative processing takes too long, students may miss orientation, the start of classes, or scholarship deadlines. Many Iranian students have had to defer or cancel their studies because of delays. 7. Strong ties to home country are harder to prove. One of the key requirements for a U.S. visa is proving that you will return home after your trip. But for Iranians, this is complicated because many Iranians want to immigrate. Even if the applicant has no intention of staying in the U.S., the officer must consider the overall trend. Economic conditions make ties harder to demonstrate. If someone doesn't have a stable job, property, or strong financial ties, it becomes harder to prove they will return. Family ties can be split. Many Iranians have close family members already living in the U.S., which can raise questions about long-term intentions. The interview is short, sometimes too short. Many Iranians are surprised that the interview lasts only 2 to 3 minutes, but that's normal. Visa officers are trained to make decisions quickly based on the DS-160 supporting documents, the applicant's answers, risk factors, travel history. For Iranians, the officer may already know the case will require administrative processing before the interview even begins. This can make the interview feel rushed or incomplete. Misunderstandings about the process. Many Iranians believe if I bring more documents, I'll be approved. If I explain more, they'll understand. If I speak perfect English, it will help. But the truth is, the decision is based on eligibility, not documents. Extra papers rarely change the outcome. Administrative processing is not avoidable. If your case requires it, nothing you say will prevent it. The officer is not judging your English. They are evaluating your purpose of travel and your ties to your home country. Understanding this reduces stress and helps applicants focus on what actually matters. Despite all the challenges, many Iranians still succeed. Here's the part people often forget. Thousands of Iranians are approved for U.S. visas every year. Students, tourists, parents, business travelers, and families all successfully complete the process. Yes, it's harder. Yes, it takes longer. Yes, it's stressful, but it's not impossible. The key is understanding the process, preparing properly, and having realistic expectations. U.S. visa interviews are hard for Iranians not because of who they are, but because of lack of diplomatic relations, extra security checks, limited embassy access, high refusal rates, complex documentation, background verification challenges. When you understand these factors, the process becomes less mysterious and more predictable. Iranians are some of the most determined, resilient applicants in the world, and despite the obstacles, many succeed every single year. Subscribe for more adventures.